It's easy to get comfortable in the wilderness. You find an oasis, and it's nice, and you just want to stay there. Moses is in Midian. Why would he go back to Egypt? Oh, I'm not rich and famous anymore, but I've got a family. Nobody's trying to kill me. Nobody's intriguing against me. I don't have to think about my people suffering. Yeah, it's bad, but out of sight, out of mind. Maybe Paul became comfortable in Tarsus, making tents. Thinking, well, I guess this is my life now. I guess this is where I am. What if David had become comfortable in Gath? David was ready to go to battle for the Philistines against Judah. And the Lord sovereignly kept him out of that. But he'd been comfortable there. Jacob had become comfortable in Padan Aram. Remember reading that story? You're like, Jacob, why are you still there? I blew my mind. It's like, this guy tricked you into marrying the wrong woman. Why are you staying there? He keeps changing your wages. He's abusing you. He's manipulating you. He's not treating you right. Why are you still there? It's the same thing for Moses. Because the evil that Moses has been raised up to defeat has not been resolved yet. And you might think, well, everything is fine for me, but you've got to go back. You can't stay there. You are needed to go back and take care of what's been going on. God is ready to deliver his people out of Egypt. Moses is the man. Moses has no right to get comfortable because his people are suffering. It's the same thing for you in your life. God's doing a lot of great things through me. I'm learning things in the Bible. This is great. That's all wonderful. You got to go home and fix your family. You got to go home and repair your marriage. You've got to decide that in this house, we're not doing this anymore. You've got to step up. You have no idea. We talked about this with the midwives. You have no idea what your impact could be. Don't ever think that just doing something small is small. Small things make a big thing. Remember Esther in Esther 4:14? You've got to go and talk to your husband, the king, because he says that we're allowed to be attacked and killed, and there's going to be a giant pogrom that's going to run through. It's going to be like Kristallnacht in the Persian Empire. He says, I can't go. I can't look at this. Like, if I go to him, I might get killed. And you picture Mordecai like trying to keep it together here. It's like, we're all going to be killed if you don't get up and move. He says, if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have come into the kingdom for such a time as this. To me, the most terrifying thing to consider is God raising somebody else up to do what he had called me to do because I was too lazy. And look how he says that to her. But this might be the reason you're alive. This might be the whole purpose of why you've been raised up to the princess of Persia. Moses, you've got to go back. We're going to get to this next week, but you can't stay there because things are not better. Same thing for you. Oh, you might be getting better, but what about your parents or your kids or your workplace or your neighborhood or your nation? You can't just stand back. There's a wonderful story from the time of the Reformation, and I love the way this was phrased. John Calvin had written the first edition of the Institutes of the Christian Religion. It was an amazing bestseller. It was the first outline of Protestant theology, and people everywhere were reading this. And John Calvin goes through Geneva on his way to, I believe he was going to Wittenberg to be with Martin Luther. And one of the guys found out he was there, and he's like, hey man, you need to stay and be our pastor. We need you to stay here and teach us these things. And he goes, no, see, I'm not a pastor. I'm a scholar. I'm a writer. I'm trying to run away from persecution. I don't really want trouble. I just want to go. And the line that I love, he says, may God condemn your repose if you leave us here without your help. May God condemn your repose. May God condemn all that peace and quiet you're chasing down, John Calvin. We need you. The world needs you, Christian. You have a responsibility to go when God says go. You can't live in the wilderness. That takes great courage, and it will be our lesson for next week. But you need to remember that the purpose of the wilderness is to prepare you to return.